in you. Find it inside you. We're always looking everywhere else. You know, when I was growing up, we played hide and seek. We always said hide and go seek. I don't know if that's right. That might just be Southern. We played hide and seek and I was terrible at it. Never really made it back to home base. Always kind of messed up and hiding in the wrong spot. And one time I hid in a draining pipe and got stuck. We had to stop the game. The adults had to come and get me out and rescue me. Well, sometimes we kind of feel like that's the way purpose is, that we're seeking it, that it's hiding somewhere and we can't find it. But often it's within us if we'll ask the right questions and do the right thing. So I want to give you a couple of ways to do that today. Number one is to think about hiring yourself. If you were to hire yourself, what would you pay yourself for? What's your skill set? What are your abilities? And sometimes with purpose, I think we want it to be so ethereal or esoteric or soul-based that sometimes we forget some of the things that are closest to us can provide the most purpose in life. Maybe it's something that we do really well, or maybe it's a way that we process, and we need to be writing down all of those things. Would you hire yourself for good advice? Could be your purpose. Would you hire yourself for design work, creative work? Maybe that's your purpose. You might be a doctor and you've kind of lost your way and you're feeling like, yeah, I don't know what my purpose is. Really? Could it be healing people? It could be all of these things. And sometimes I think we're too close to ourselves. And so we discount a lot of the things that are within us. And we think that purpose is out there somewhere hiding from us instead of realizing it could be very, very close. So ask yourself, what would I hire me for? What would I pay me for? Ask your friends that. I did that recently where I said, if you were to hire me for something, what would it be? And it was interesting, the answers that came back, because the answers really depend on, as one of my friends put it, this is how I experience you. And people experience us in different ways. So when it comes to our purpose, what would you hire yourself for? Ask some of your friends, ask some of your family. There you're going to have the jokers who are going to say, I wouldn't hire you for anything. If you lost your mind, I wouldn't hire you. But you're going to have others that are going to say, yeah, I'd hire you for this. I would hire you for spiritual direction. I would hire you to help me make plans. I would hire you to help me create a strategy. Some of those things will come back to you. I would hire you to speak. I would hire you to cook. You may have a job full time doing something you're not pumped about, but you love coming home and cooking and you love cooking for friends. That could be a big part of your purpose, is entertaining. It doesn't mean that you've got to make that your breadwinning activity, but it's something that you love to do. And then secondly, not only hire yourself, is to really know yourself. And I think that's important. Sometimes we're not spending enough time really becoming self-aware, or we're so self-deprecating. Like, I love thinking about what a goofball I am, how hyperactive I can be, and I'll think about some of those elements and feel like I know those pieces. Or we can go opposite and get super negative, and we can feel like, well, I'm not anything, and I'm nothing special, and I'm this, and I'm not this, and I'm not that, and compared to so. Stop all that. Do this exercise by yourself to know yourself. Get away from everybody else. With the first one, you may want to get with people to find out what they would hire you for. And with this one, you want to get away, to pull back. And don't worry about being ultra humble. Brag on yourself a little bit and say, this is what I'm really great at. And this is what I know about myself. And if some of the things are negative, guess what? We're going to work on those. So what I would suggest, because not everybody likes these kind of things, I love personality testing. I've got my list right here of who and what I am. Doesn't mean that I'm stuck. It doesn't mean that I'm going to put this label on myself and therefore can never change, but instead to say this is a big part of me becoming aware of who I am. First of all is the Enneagram. And I'll put this down in the description. It's a system of personality typing that describes patterns and how people interpret the world and their emotions. I think that's important because it's not really your personality, it's your behaviors. It's why you do what you do. So I'm a type 7, which is the enthusiast. I'm pumped up, I'm excited, I'm positive almost all the time. Certainly it gets on some people's nerves, but I'm excited about life, but I'm also living in the future a lot of the time. I'm looking way out there and I don't want to miss anything that's fun. So it makes it really tough for me to be in the present. So I have to slow down, I have to pull back. But I love being a 7. And I think that every type has its own advantages and disadvantages. You can learn more about that. But if you go to truity.com has a lot of these tests on there. Secondly is Colby, sometimes known as the intrinsics test. 36 question assessment that measures your intrinsic way of doing things. So I'm a 4, 3, 10, 1. Like 10, perfect score on whatever that one was. So basically, I can't remember every single thing. I have to go back and review it. You are uniquely able to take on future-oriented challenges. Isn't that interesting? I mentioned as a 7, I live in the future. I'm great with future-oriented challenges. You lead the way to visionary possibilities and create what others say could not be done. All right, that feels a lot like me, honestly. So that's the Colby. The Myers-Briggs, a lot of people have taken this. It's a psychometric tool that gives you insight into what makes you, you. So I tested as an INTJ, an architect, a person with introverted, intuitive thinking, and judging personality traits. Again, I think that's me. Now, because I'm a hyperactive, people feel like, well, wait a minute, you're not an introvert. I can get on stage in front of thousands of people. Doesn't scare me. You're not an introvert. Yeah, I am, because I get de-energized by people. We'll do another episode down the road about that to greater lengths. And I love being an introvert, but I'm also learning how to love and appreciate everybody around me and their strengths and their weaknesses too. It's what makes us human and makes us fun. So INTJ, Myers-Briggs, and then the Clifton 34. It reveals a complete talent profile. All 34 themes are ranked in order of how frequently and intensely they show up for you. I got a coach one time that says you really don't ever have any weaknesses. You just got different levels of strength. I kind of like that. As a 7, I love it. Sounds really exciting. So mine, when it came to that, my top 5 were being a maximizer, an activator, strategic, communication, and positivity. Now that wasn't a surprise, and one of my buddies always likes to say, well, you love personality tests because they just affirm who you are. No, I think they reveal. And when you take a multitude of them, you get more and more a sense of who you are. And then once you know these things, you bring them together and you can say, you know what, I feel like I better understand what my purpose is. So given these tests, what would I think my purpose is? I would think that my purpose, or at least some of it, is to bring a lot of joy and a lot of happiness to strategic thinking, to communicate in a very positive way of attainment, of hope-filled, of yes, we can do this, but not Pollyanna, because I am strategic, because I am a maximizer. I'm going to come up with a plan for it. I'm not simply going to go, hey, let's go do this wild thing and just see what happens. I'm going to plan for it, right? So that's me and knowing these elements of my personality that help me get inside and find my purpose. When it comes to finding your purpose, don't ignore you. Ask yourself, ask your friends, what would you hire me for? And then dive deep into some of these personality tests and find out who you are. Hey, DM me, reach out, message me, visit me, paulbevans.com. If you want any help discovering who you are and aligning yourself with your purpose. Success, it's not an accident. Be blessed. Follow me, subscribe, comment. Let's stay in touch. Find your purpose.